Hello, my name is Father Patrick Edwards, and I am the priest in charge here at St. Margaret's Episcopal Church. And it is today my blessing and honor to be able to tell you something about the narrative of what's been happening here over the last few years, and to share with you both our successes just as a parish, but also to introduce you to some of the successes of our deanery coming together to be able to make a change in one of our congregations in the community. Our parish was founded in 1972, and eventually in the next 2 years would relocate to our present site near the intersections of Perkins and Seagans Road in Baton Rouge. And during that time, we expanded and contracted modestly in the first 30, 35 years of our history, according to the economic expansions and contractions in Baton Rouge. But around turn of the 21st century, we enjoyed something of a surge in our membership, coming close to 150 people on an average Sunday coming in to worship with us. But as I say here, it was a growth that was built on sand, and I say that because a lot of the identity and the energy and the personality of our church at that time was caught up in what I like to call Anglicanism. It was a sort of identity that was caught up in not being something as opposed to being something, and being in contention with the national church, and being opposed to policies instead of being a vibrant and living community. And in that sort of acrimonious environment, that poisonous environment, it wouldn't be a surprise for us to know that in between 2007 and 2010, our parish church saw a split where half the people would leave the church, some to form schismatic churches, and some just because out of pure frustration and unhappiness because of the energy and the environment of the church. It was also during this time that St. Margaret's put forward some fairly aggressive building campaigns. An educational wing was added that unfortunately was built with a rather crippling debt. There were also plans to create a permanent sanctuary, St. Margaret's first permanent sanctuary. But the plans that were created were really unattainable. Construction costs were in between $750,000 and $1 million. The capacity was far larger than the parish was at the time. And as a result, the church found itself unable to accomplish this project. The construction of the sanctuary didn't occur. And the resulting loss of membership over the years, the debt, the financial difficulties, and the sense of discouragement and the low self-esteem that the church experienced, and the loss of momentum, resulted not in a question in 2010 as to whether St. Margaret's could construct this or not, but really it was whether St. Margaret's was able to continue as a viable parish. It was this time that our bishop in the diocese offered us an opportunity in the CCDP program, or the Clergy and Congregational Development Program. Aside from bringing me on board as their new priest, it provided a community and a network of support and education and encouragement that really began the parish's renewal and rejuvenation. In the course of the next year or two, St. Margaret saw itself seeing its finances returning to stability, our attendance increasing, nearly doubling on a Sunday. We began to see a greater participation and a greater enthusiasm and appreciation and love for the church again. We saw the church kind of rebounding. And as we began to ask questions as a vestry and as leadership on what we needed to do to continue this and to build on this renewal, it became obvious to us that we were suffering from an identity crisis and from a crisis of exposure. If you can look at this image, the church at the time looked like a ranch house with a big cross out front. People didn't know it was a church. They certainly knew it was an Episcopal church. The most common thing that I heard when I would answer people's question on where my church was in the community, I would tell them that it was where it was, and they would say they didn't know it was there. We had really inadequate signage. All of this was a crisis that the vestry recognized, and the decision was made put forward a capital campaign, uh, symbolically called Putting Forward the Face of St. Margaret's, an attempt to make some changes to the curb appeal, to the identity, to the facade, if you will, of the church, so that it would be more recognizable, and that would have a greater identity and a greater presence and awareness inside the community. As you can see, one of the things we did was we gave ourselves a new sign that boldly proclaimed who we were, our Episcopal identity as well as our name. We also put a cupola on top of our church building, which made it readily recognizable as a church. We also had a new memorial garden with a flagpole that had the American and Episcopal flags flying on it. All of this was very eye-catching and identifying, but it also gave what a lot of people told us was a sense that the church looked loved. People felt like that there was life there and that there was an appreciation and enjoyment of that parish church in itself. But it wasn't just a facelift. During this time, we saw a surge and new growth of programs, of worship, of mission and ministry. Our membership and our pledging went up, as I said, but there was also a flourishing of confidence. There was a new momentum. There was a greater identifying and participation in the diocese. But also our lay leadership was flourishing. It was more stable. It was more responsible. There was a greater dynamism and proactivism. And as a result, coming off of that capital campaign, our vestry and our leadership began to ask what we needed to do next to help St. Margaret's fulfill the Great Commission. And one of the things we began to realize is we needed to revisit the question of a permanent worship space. We were aware that visitors who came told us that they came back a second time despite our sanctuary, which looked like a storefront church. And also we came to realize that our identity and our ethos was caught up in a space that didn't really give us our best light and our best identity. Believing in lex oriendi, lex credendi, lex vivendi, the law of worship determines what we believe and how we live. Our church space was holding us back. In this new 2015 sanctuary project, we realized that we needed to have a new sanctuary, but it needed to be done without any new debt. We needed to be able to fully utilize what we had to the best potential. We wanted to maximize any financial investment or otherwise that we were putting forward. And we wanted whatever it was to be realistic and sustainable. We didn't want to make anything too large, and we didn't want the cost to be out of reach. When we began to look at it, we evaluated our assets, and we realized that we had a really committed and now ambitious congregation. We had competent, sound lay leadership, as well as, God willing, a priest. We were building with a new builder and an architect that were members of our parish that were willing to donate their services. We had a seed money coming in from a donor of $60,000 to get us going on this project. And there was momentum inside the parish for something like this. So with that in mind, a design was put forward that would take the existing parish hall and double its length to be able to make our new sanctuary, that would construct a new narthex with a visible entrance, that would give us really our first main entrance to the church that we had ever had, and that would really utilize the existing space to maximize what we had while building this idea of a new sanctuary. So with this in mind, we took up the challenge. We were able to raise $180,000 within a month from our parish in pledges, and with $130,000 of pledged money in hand and $50,000 coming from our cash reserves, we broke ground in October, and we're looking towards an April consecration date. And this is what it looks like as of today. The church is coming along nicely. We're moving towards a completion date for us to be able to celebrate our Easter, God willing, in our new sanctuary. It was a shell, though. We had planned for kind of a modest construction that one day we'd be able to complete the interior with the appropriate finishings and appointments. And that's when our deanery came in. We had this interior started, but as far as a reredos, a dais, a chancel, the altar, and other appointments, we didn't really have that. And I met with our dean, Father Mark Holland at St. James, and it was his idea to lead the Baton Rouge Deanery in an initiative to fully fund this focal point of our worship. And after a beginning reception to start off the campaign, at the end of the year, we had raised through the deanery an additional $35,000 to be able to help us to complete this project into something really quite beautiful. And the result of which is now taking shape in this wonderful new sanctuary that we're bringing to completion now with that additional funding coming from our deanery. And this is our new chancel. The reredos is being donated as part of our deanery initiative. The central arch was donated by a artisan who does wonderful plaster work for us. The woodwork is done by a carpenter who works for our senior warden, Chip Blair. None of this is machine manufactured. It's all hand milled and hand routed. It's quite wonderful. And it gives you an idea, even though it's still in construction, of the potential beauty we're going to be able to enjoy and worship. The space behind here is being constructed as a St. Saviour's Chapel, a reserved sacrament chapel. It'll also include a Marian shrine to Our Lady of Walsingham. This space shows you the original construction, and as you look beyond there, we've doubled the length of what was our parish hall to the new nave. The windows in the back were donated by a parishioner for the lancet windows, and also the stained glass that will go inside, and the arch that was constructed to come in from the narthex, and even the little kitchenette acts as a nice little functional sacristy for our church. And so with this new construction, and especially the sanctuary being offered up with the help of our deanery, we're able to move forward on some important projects that we want to see done in 2015, as opposed to having to wait until some later date when we can complete the sanctuary. In 2015, we hope to make a year of evangelism. We want to open a daycare and a nursery, a Mother's Day Out program, to be able to both serve our community but to help attract new members. We want to offer concerts, recitals, and other events in that space. And we also get to enjoy the beautiful new worship and music. But let some of my parishioners tell you about the impact.
When we took on this project, we knew it was going to be a real special thing. We had a lot of people who have been going to church here a long time, and we've always been in a temporary worship space. We finally are building a new worship space, and it's really turned out to be an incredible project. We've gotten support from all over the parish. We've got a lot of people in the community who have helped us. It's just been a blessing to see God working here in this parish with this new church. What we've got now, that we started with just a shell, and now we've got a very sophisticated, really unique church that's going to have stained glass and all these neat amenities.
It was nothing but a pleasure to do the design for the church.
Can you believe we're doing it, man? Can you believe we're actually doing this?
Not really. I didn't think this would ever happen. I thought the set of drawings that we had that ran so far over the money that they were shelved, I didn't see this any time in the foreseeable future to do what you started, what we've done. So this is the work of a lot of people. Many people, just about everybody in the church had great input into all of this.
I mean, what does this mean now, man? This is you're a soulful guy, and I guess what I want to hear is, how's it going to change your worship? Do you think?
Being a member of the choir, it's going to allow the wonderful voices that we have in the choir to really show how God is shining through the choir, and for the congregation to hear that. And I really think it's just going to be that much more special just being in the choir.
Yeah. We got a great choir.
Yes, we do. We've got some talented singers there, so I'm really looking forward to it. And I know everybody's just on pins and needles waiting for our Easter Vigil to be able to show up here, and it's just going to be awe-inspiring.
And so this is ultimately what we hope to do, is to take what is in construction now further down the road to something that will be truly beautiful and will be a lasting testament to not only the success of the hard work of St. Margaret's, but for the support and the generosity of our deanery and our diocese and our bishop. And so, with that in mind, on behalf of my parish, I want to thank you all not only for listening to our story today, but also for all of your support, your financial support, your moral support. And we look forward to worshiping with you in this new space when it's completed with us. Thank you, and God bless you.